by Auburn Police Division at Ibrahim. Somebody need to wait? All right. During the course of this investigation into the disappearance of Aniah Blanchard, it was determined by Auburn Police Division that Ibrahim Yazid abducted Aniah from the Chevron on College Street here in Auburn. Once Mr. Yazid was arrested, we felt like we had the perpetrator of this crime in custody. Our full focus of the investigation turned to finding Aniah. On November 25th, investigative efforts led us to County Road 2 in Macon County, where we discovered human remains that the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences later positively ID'd as belonging to Aniah Blanchard. And subsequent to that, there was an autopsy done, and the medical examiner ruled that Aniah Blanchard was killed in a manner of homicide. Cause of death was a gunshot wound. As a result of the determination by the medical examiner's office, we are now upgrading the charges from kidnapping in the first degree to capital murder. And in this case, capital murder is the intentional murder during a kidnapping. And we will also be seeking the death penalty against Mr. Yazid. In the interest of public safety, I do want to say, to follow up on a report or a statement rendered by the Auburn Police Division last week, that we have determined that Mr. Yazid is the lone person responsible in this case for abducting Aniah Blanchard. He is the lone person responsible for Aniah's murder. He remains in Lee County Jail without bond, but he is also innocent of these charges until we overcome our burden and prove him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Lastly, I just want to say that this case has absolutely shaken our community to its core. But I cannot say enough about the job that Auburn Police Division and every other agency involved in this case responded to the report of Aniah's disappearance. From the first moments, law enforcement moved swiftly and they moved methodically to find Aniah's abductor, to find her murderer, and to find her. The process of seeing justice done for Aniah and her family will not be swift, but I can promise you it will be thorough. It's my intention that the response to this horrific crime serve as a warning to anyone who believes they want to come to Lee County and engage in violent criminal behavior. You will certainly be dealt with, and consequences will be severe. In this case, is going to be a testament to that. I'll open it up to questions, understanding that any questions y'all ask and that I can answer really need to be related to what we've just talked about, the charges. I cannot talk about the investigation, and I can't really talk about anybody else that's involved in this case.
You did mention that it was a gunshot wound. Can you tell us where she was actually shot at?
I'm not going to get into that at this point, other than just it was the cause of death was gunshot wound, and the manner of death was a homicide.
What about Mr. Frazier? Any update on that? The second suspect.
Mr. Fisher?
Yeah, Fisher, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're not here to talk about Mr. Fisher today. We're here to talk about the charges against Mr. Yazid.
Can you tell us if there will likely be any other charges that might be upgraded?
Again, we're here to talk about Mr. Yazid and those charges being upgraded from kidnapping first degree to capital murder.
What's the process now moving forward in Mr. Yazid's case in terms of court, next appearances with these new charges?
Similar to what he's gone through already. He'll be served an arrest warrant for capital murder. At that time, he'll have to have another, what we call a 4872 or a first appearance hearing. Similar to last time, he will also have the opportunity for another preliminary hearing on this matter, but those are decisions that he'll have to make with his lawyer. Anything else? All right. Thank y'all. Put some releases up here. Y'all want to grab them?
Thank you.
All right, guys, so that's your briefing right there. Not much to it, really. I don't even know why they pulled all them people together in that room just to do that. So you can hear him saying that we are going to set a death penalty here and set an example with this case. It was very evident he steered the public away from Fisher and Johnson. He didn't want to answer any questions about that, and I think the majority of us realize why. So for those of you that don't realize that Fisher was actually, he was tried for murder for Amy Ross, and he was out of jail within 1 year, 11 months, and 28 days. Now, there were 2 people involved with that case, and most likely he did do a plea deal, but still, put behind bars, 18 years, out a year, almost 2 years later. Now, right now, I'm just speculating because I haven't had time to go over Fisher's case completely, but I'm saying no matter what we find, he should not be out of jail. And so here we go. He's involved with another murder case yet. We can only wait and see what the charges he's going to remain to have, or if any, because this guy stressed to us, Yazid was alone. But again, guys, a lot of us are questioning why in the world, again, these men were out on the streets to do damage to other people's children with the background that they had, and I think the people have had enough. So no matter, I think they're trying to keep us quiet, but let's not do it this time. They either go and see if they have some type of issue where they don't have enough room to jail them or house them, or they're trying to make money off of these people. If it is by chance the fact that they don't have enough room to house them, well, guess what? You better start building, because there's no sense in putting my child and your child in danger because we don't want to spend the money to deal with it. So as I mentioned, I will continue to cover this case, especially in the manner that I'm doing right now. The fact that these guys are out on the street when they should have not been. And I can tell you right now, if I was her parent, I would be suing the state. I would be looking to sue anybody and everybody involved with the fact that these 2 men were out of jail. And I think they do have a very good case if they do pursue it, and I hope they do. Now, I'm not that keen on law, but I've been studying, I've been looking. It's going to take time for me to soak up all this information. I'm looking into so many things in between life, doing this research and making these videos. I'm studying my butt off. Now, I'm still digging on the Yazid. He's kind of difficult for me to get information on from where I'm at. And they are locking it up tight, guys. And that just makes me even angrier. I'm also looking into depends on if I can pull it off or not. Getting my license and PI. So it's just, I hope I can pull that off, because that way I will be able to get my hands on better resources. Please, guys, drop in the comments. How do you feel about this? What you're hearing on this video today. I mean, every aspect you want to cover, just write it down there. I will take time to read these for sure. So the gag order is still in place. We're waiting to hear. I know media has been fighting it. I hope that they're successful on this case. But they're saying we need to lock it down in order to preserve the case, which normally, under most circumstances, that's probably true. But something about this case tells me that, I don't know, I do believe, however, they are going to use him as an example. And I am very excited about that, because most likely, if they go through trial and everything goes as planned and the evidence is presented in a way, he will be convicted. And if he is convicted on a capital murder, then he will be sentenced to death. And we all know how that goes. That could take years and years before that finally happens. But again, They were saying that she was shot. They wouldn't say where she was shot. And how in the world they must have did it on the highway. So, and it doesn't make sense as to why they did it. We haven't heard that they robbed her for anything right now. We haven't heard anything, and it's just, everything is so hush-hush. But if he was behind bars where he was supposed to be in the first place, this child will still be here today, and that is what is probably angers all of us the most. It's time for this nation to start taking these criminals seriously. And it's time to protect our children. I don't care what other people say. I mean, it's just getting ridiculous when you have people defending the criminal more than they are the victim. Now, for some reason, he refused to tell us again, how she was shot, where she was shot. And that part, either I'm missing something, I don't know, but we're not getting anything on that. And we all know that Fisher is no angel. And so it's clearly, do not forget about this case, guys. I won't let you anyways. We're going to keep an eye on this and see what they're going to do with the people involved with this case. There comes a time when you have to just finally just stand up, and you're going to have to be determined and stick to it. Otherwise, they think they can get away with it. When I lived in Texas, there was gang members living in areas that you wouldn't think that they would be living in. This was about 6 years ago, and they would sexually assault people, including me. They were not scared to approach you and say things, worried about whether or not you were going to call the law. They would act like your friend and steal from you. They were constantly watching you, so they were kind of like stalkers. And even in Texas, they weren't doing anything to protect the people. If you did try to say something, they would throw at you that you were either racist or you were something. It didn't matter what color you were racist if you were to say something about the gang problems in Texas. Long story short, he almost killed a guy, and he ended up in jail. He had teardrops, all that good stuff coming down from his eye. Again, they act like they were running that town, and their attitude was they owned this town and they were untouchable. So I'm very, very familiar with that. Same thing with Fisher and Yazid, especially Yazid. He act like he just owned a place. So the one thing I do want to ask you guys is to make sure that you stay, don't forget this story. It's going to go in a year or maybe even 2 years. Just make sure that you let them know that, especially any other stories in your area, let it be known that you do not want to see criminals getting a slap on the hand any longer. If you have to build more jailhouses, then you're going to have to do that. It's time that you put your kid first, and I'm going to help you. I know that this family's dealing with a lot right now, so I'm not saying much about them right now. Just sending them prayers. So this isn't just about them. This is about all the other people out there that's been dealing with the injustice of this nation. And that's why I started this channel, guys. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and close out right now. And probably soak this in, because I really haven't even had time to really soak, what we just learned in. I love you guys. Be safe. Please talk to your children. Talk to everybody, your friends. Be safe, guys. Be prepared. And, be on the lookout. If you haven't checked out Aniah, I'm sorry. It's been a while since I looked at her case, and I think her name is spelled Najah. Look for her. Check out her video. That too has been kept hush-hush. Not much coming out on that. I don't want to tell you the details because there's so much in that, but I want you to at least know about that story and what happened to her. Okay, guys, love you. See you soon.